hello there, welcome, good morning, good evening, good night, wherever you are. Welcome once again to another episode of Speaking Out, Exposing Corruption and Incompetence. Today is Wednesday, the 14th day of June in the year 2023. Welcome one and all, welcome to this program. I see we have lots and lots of students already in class lined up and ready to go, and we are ready to go as well. My colleague is already in the studio. We're waiting, we're ready, we're anxious just as you are. And talking about anxiety and anxiousness, we scheduled the program this morning, this morning's program yesterday afternoon. And believe you me, people slept in the class and in the schoolyard since last night, waiting for the class to commence this morning. The first person yesterday signed in at 4:13 or something like that. Yesterday afternoon. I'm not talking about this morning. Yesterday afternoon. So yes, people have been here very early, and we're not going to disappoint you. We have so much to discuss this morning. I'm sure you're going to find it informative as usual. So welcome one and all. And by now, even though I shouldn't do it, I will do it out of habit. Share the live. Let people know that we are here and speaking out, exposing corruption and incompetence is on again this morning. We have so much to tell you. Well, we have to give praise and thanks. Give praise and thanks to the Almighty for allowing us to see another day. And yes, Hazel, the music, I enjoy. As a matter of fact, I wanted to play it the second time because the introductory music is so catchy and it puts me in the mood. It puts us in the mood. It's very bouncy, a very bouncy introductory music. So even though you might have been in the schoolyard overnight, and you were there very early this morning, line up. The intention is that once the theme song starts, it will wake you up, put you in the mood, get you bouncing to be here with us this morning. So welcome one and all, welcome. Give praise and thanks to the Almighty for allowing us to see another day. This is a day that the Lord has made. Let's rejoice and be glad in it. All the usual students, all the regular students are here, and some other people that I'm not too familiar with. One man did say that he has been here from the inception. He has been watching the program from the inception, but only recently he has been commenting. So you people can be watching, but unless you comment, we're not gonna know that you're there. So if you want us to know that you're there, if you want to be recognized, hit us up with a comment, and you will surely be recognized. We have lots and lots of students. I don't know if we're gonna make out to the roll call this morning, but there are lots and lots of students, I can tell you. In the schoolyard, before class commenced, before we went live, we have over 80, almost 100 students just waiting. And since we went live, hundreds already on Facebook, waiting patiently, waiting anxiously for this program to commence. Well, you have to give the naysayers, they're not many. They're not many because we come to you with facts. We come to you with provable information. So even now and again, they come out and they make some outlandish, some foolish comment. We tend to generally ignore them. When they come and they're disrespectful, I will just delete the nonsense that they're talking. They would want to know who are we, where were we all the time. Well, yeah, just check the records. Don't be lazy. If you want to know who is Clinton Conway, who is Paul, check the records. If you are incapable of doing so because of your intellectual challenge, I hope your children did not suffer, your child did not suffer the same fate. So let them check for you. Well, we are here, we're going to give you the information. We are going to give you the information. Now, let me, as I've said, the roll call this morning, and some people are not too pleased with the roll call, but we're going to deal with some, and perhaps during the course of the program, we'll also deal with another. Some people say, a particular man tell me when he go to the movie, he wants to see trailer, he wants to see shorts, he wants to see the main movie right away, right? So he is saying that the roll call is shorts, so you don't want to see shorts. But the thing now with movies, you go to any movie now, the forthcoming attractions, those things are a must. You have to have forthcoming attraction, whether you like it or not. So what you would normally do, if you don't want to see the forthcoming attraction, maybe you take that time to go and buy your popcorn and your Coke, or you come in after that aspect, because you know it will last about 10 to 50 minutes, and then you come in thereafter. So man said we must have the roll call. Somebody just said to me, we must have roll call. So yeah, we're gonna have the roll call, and maybe we'll do it in segments, and we are going to move into the program. We have lots and lots to tell you again this morning, and we're gonna rule. So before let me run the roll call for a little bit, and then we're gonna come back. We're gonna do our birthday greetings, and we're gonna do the other stuff that we will normally do. Where is it? Roll call, roll call. I see, well, some names have been dropped off here. So I see what happened is that those who were here yesterday, I have a record of those. I now see that I guess the platform removed them from yesterday, and they started those persons who were here from this morning. But I can tell you, yesterday we had the first family music was here very early yesterday afternoon, 4:30. Then we had Earl at 4:18. Then we had Mandela. Mandela came in yesterday, he came back again today at 6:56 yesterday afternoon. Cecile came in at 8:06. And then we had our boy Pito, 81:52. He came in at 8:41 p.m. And this morning, we had the first person this morning is Natasha. Then we had Jakey. Jakey coming up by early in school, 1 o'clock or 3:41 this morning. Vibert coming up again, 4:10. Raul Redman was here very early this morning. He said, Kompong waiting for the school door to open. People were there before you. Then we had Winston. We had Patricia. We had Glenn from the United Kingdom. I can't recall seeing this person before, so welcome. My squad mate, 9430 Lewis, was here very early this morning. Colin from Queens, 11872 was here very, very early as well. Winston at 511. John was here. Then we had Desiree. Wayne is from the UK. We had Floyd from Brooklyn was here with us. We have Junior was here very early. Lyndon came in very early. Sean, ex-sergeant from New Jersey. Sean is from New York. Ex-sergeant came in. Melissa came in next. After Sean, it was Melissa. After Melissa, we had Lynette from the UK. I know these people very well. Lynette is from the UK as well. Then we had Granville at 6 o'clock this morning, 6:10 to be exact. Then we had Carlisle. Then we had Bart. He's the person who said that he has been here from the inception, but only recently started to make comments. So thanks, welcome, Bart. Maureen was here very early as well at 6:23. Sydney came in at 6:24. Hazel came in at 6:46. Como, 8218, Como came in at 6:48. We had Raheem came in at 6:59. Uncle, he refers to me as Uncle Paul, respect Jude. Thank you very much. Everett came in at 7:09. Everett, I can't remember. I was looking for the question. I know there's a pending question from you. If you can hit me up again with it, I'll seek to answer it. The countryman, George, came in at 7:19. And he's answering to the question we asked last week when he came in at 4 something, if he had just returned home or if he woke up early. So he's answering that he wakes up early in the morning. Gaston, 9556, my squad, he says he's back in Guyana after 41 years. 41 years. Gaston, I got to inbox you a message later in the morning. I have something to bring to your attention. I'll do so a little later. Kurt, he was here at 7:25 with some diamond housing scheme. Then we had Magyar Princess, 6123. Sergeant Earl from Lamar Springs, she was here. Vernon was here this morning at 7:31. Then we had 123 Gotcha. He was here at 7:33. Joan came in next in class. Then Tessa, all the way from Florida, came in at 7:46. Kudakwashi came in next. Then we had Joan in next. Trotty came in after that. Then we have all the way from Portmore, Jamaica. My brother Dudley, he came in at 8:06. Maxine came in next. Winston from Ontario, California. Then we had Aileen coming in at 8:17. Edward came in at 8:25. Barbara came in at 8:26. Felicia came in at 8:44. Colin came in at 8:47. Lucius Ian came in at 8:55. all the way from Canada, my shooting body. Just like I said, former Paul came in at 8:58. And Brennan Tamo came in at 8:59. Duan came in at 9:01. From Arizona, 94:14, my squad mate Carl, he came in at 9:05. And then we had Oren, he says his number was 712,758. I remember you, Oren. I remember Oren. Then my next squad mate, 95:51, Frankie, he came in at 9:16. And we had Malcolm. Welcome, Malcolm. Then we had Wayne. Then we had Vibert from the East Bank. Then we had Francis coming in there at 9:29. Stefan, old man from the yard, came in at 9:30. John came in at 9:31. Then we had Philip. Then we had Jean. And then we had TK in here. Then Corbin, 15847, Corbin came in. Fort Welly came in next. Pamela was next. Yolanda came in next. Chicken Orin, all the way from the UK, he came in. Then we have Stian. We had, after Stian, Evelina. Doreen, another squad mate of mine, W349, she came in here. She's from Canada at 10:26. Gordon came in 10:30. Speaking Truth to Power came in next. And then 14126, bravo. I know these numbers very well. 14126. Michael, he's from Bridget, Virgin Island. Incidentally, he's the man who sits in the chase squad mate. So he's the man who sits the squad mate. Ether came in next at 10:47. JK, John Knights, all the way at 10:47. Schwartzy, Leon came in then 10025. Schwartz came in at 10:58. And then we had Brian, was the YouTuber. Then the first person from Facebook was William. And then the man from Essequibo Coast, Abdul. Then we have 0717, Carlton. Ingrid was next. Then we had Lynette from Barbados. Welcome, Bharat. Bharat, how are you enjoying the cricket, boy? On this thing. Well, let me talk, move on. And let me talk some, as we just mentioned, Bharat, it's a good time for me to, for the cricket fans who are here, J.K., Bharat, I'm sure Ulrich must have joined by now. I hope you all enjoyed the World Test Championship match between Australia and India. I mean, I was disappointed in the way India capitulated on the last day because I was hoping, I mean, this was a difficult score for them to make because I think they lost the game on the first day when the people recovered and made all those runs against them, 300 and odd runs on the first day, and it turned out that was the most runs scored on any one of the days in the test match at a time when the ball was moving around, and one would have expected them to get more wickets and at least to curtail the scoring, but they did not do that. So I believe they lost the game on that very first day by allowing the Australians to run after such a score. And then on the last day, I was hoping that the people can Riani and Kohli can bat and make it challenging because I know the score would have hard to think. But then the people capitulated on the last day. The last 7 wickets fell for 70 runs on the first session, man. So I was disappointed. So, but that's how the game is played, you know. West Indies now is in Zimbabwe for the eliminations for the World Cup later this year in India. I think they beat in a warm-up game played, was it yesterday or Monday? Yesterday they beat Scotland by 70-odd runs. So let's see how that will go. They're fortunate to be in what I consider to be this easier of the two groups. Let me hope they come out the group and they make it to the final. I expect West Indies and Sri Lanka to make it through. Well, let's see what will happen. You would have heard to cricket fans that the itinerary for India tour to the Caribbean in the next couple of weeks' time will commence with test matches. I think it's 2 test matches. They have one-day matches, international, and then T20, including T20 matches in Guyana. I think 2 matches are scheduled for Guyana, and then they're going to end in Fort Lauderdale for it. So look up and make sure you have that under your belt. And then we also had the NBA Finals, and the Nuggets, for the first time in the NBA history, beat Miami Heat's 4-1. 4-1. They destroy. Can't beat the Joker. The Joker is there, rebounds and baskets, and the man is really around the Ian Murray. Can't beat them. So that is over in terms of the NBA final. And I want to wish my countryman at this stage, Godfrey Abrams, happy birthday. Godfrey, today's your birthday. Godfrey is a man from Shadow Valley. For those Baronians, the younger ones, they might not know where Shadow Valley is. But let me tell you, Shadow Valley is part of Ogle Street. And Shadow Valley is the part from Market Street going south. From Market Street right down going to the south, Shadow Valley. So you had people in F Street, you had the Abrams, you had the Mitchells, you had the Calebs. That is Shadow Valley for those of you who don't know. So Godfrey celebrating his birthday today. Happy birthday to you, Godfrey. And let me give an update. Last week when we met, last week Tuesday, we did tell you that the court cases were scheduled for Friday. The matters, conspiracy to commit fraud, all those trumped up charges, and the sexual assault, again, trumped up charge. On Friday, I was disappointed because when the matters came up on Friday, the magistrate who was presiding in Court 3, we informed you before that the chief magistrate has gone into retirement, and the Court 3 magistrate, the Honorable Isaacs Marcus, I think is her name. She is now acting chief magistrate. She was dealing with those matters in Court 3. So she advised us on Friday that a new magistrate is going to be appointed for Court 3. And therefore, all the matters are now put down to July the 27th for the new magistrate to deal with. So again, we're 2 years, over 2 years. The charges were filed on the 19th of May, 2021. Today is the 14th day of June 2023. And we didn't even get to the stage. Bharat, you were a prosecutor. I want to hear your views, man. We didn't even get to the stage where trial has commenced. We didn't even get to that stage yet where trial has commenced. In the conspiracy to commit fraud, we didn't even have proper disclosure as yet. And you're telling me we live in a civilized country? You want to tell me that we live in a civilized country? Let me bring in my colleague, CC, for him to obviously. CC, welcome and good morning to you.
Morning, Paul. Morning. Morning, listeners.
I know you were in court on Friday, and I just brought our viewers up to date with what transpired. You want to add anything to that?
Well, as you mentioned, 2 years past, no disclosure. I have not even been served with copy of statements after 2 years. Perhaps I don't have any statements. So, but we know our day will come, and it
Well,
just
the
come
day
to
will
an
come
end.
eventually. I mean, it's very frustrating, all the dragging out, very
Yeah,
frustrating. But at the end of the day, I'm sure justice will prevail. At the end of the
yeah.
day, it's
I
very, very frustrating. You have to be running to court. You have to be thinking there, put off and put off. And let me say this, I'm not, in many cases, you really can't blame the magistrate
no way,
because
no way,
remember,
no way.
you have shortage of magistrate. For how many years now? I think the Judicial Service Commission life ended in 2017. They have not reconvened a Judicial Service Commission, even though I think it was in January, the Attorney General said that within 3 months, the Judicial Service Commission will be sworn in. Up to now, nothing. So therefore, there's an acute shortage of magistrates and judges. So for people who have, whether you're a defendant, whether you're a litigant, you have to be waiting because of the shortage. And I am aware from all what is going on that the people are working, the judicial officers are trying their level best to expedite these matters. But that is where we are. That is where we are with the shortage, and it falls squarely at the feet of the government because they are the ones who have to appoint the Judicial Service Commission, like what Justice Posada said. The president has to make the appointment, and they're not doing that for whatever reason. When the Attorney General tells the nation in January that the Judicial Service Commission will be sworn in 3 months, this is the 6th month in the year, halfway through the 6th month in the year, and you can't have it yet. So those appointments can be made, and that is where we are. See?
And apart from the judicial service, they gotta get a public service commission also, because the chairman of the public service commission is a member of those commission. So back to square one.
Well, they must
Said
have
it
a
should have.
reason. They must have a reason, some nefarious reason, I would think, that they don't want to appoint the Judicial Service Commission. Maybe they don't have people who they believe are going to be compliant. And I say this because remember, I was the chairman of the Police Service Commission, and they wanted me to do certain things, and I declined, to use a respectful word. I declined, and that was the start of all the trumped up charges and all of that. So here we are. Now moving on. When I looked at this thing and I get a notice say the bloodshed in Guyana continues. The bloodshed continues in Guyana. And what I'm talking about, we had the death of 2 children. Since we were here last week, we had a situation where 2 children, 2 young children in Micah, were killed in a fire. So unfortunate, they were there. I think one was differently abled, and I think one was as young as 3. They were there alone in the home fire. I don't think I read how that fire started, but 2 children lost their lives. Every week is another fire. People losing property, people losing their life almost every week. So you had that. And then we had this murder of Lieutenant Randall Douglas from the Coast Guard, Guyana Defense Force Coast Guard. He's a man who, according to the report, he was operating his private car to earn some extra dollars as a taxi. Got an hire somewhere across the river to go to a particular location in Georgetown. When he arrived there, some other man was waiting there to rob him of his car. He put up a fight, they shot and killed him. They shot and killed him. And there's a video, I saw the video, the security video of the little struggle, and when he was shot and when he was killed. Well, they would want to tell you, the people would want to tell you how things are so hunky-dory. Crime is on the decrease, crime is on the decline, and all that they will tell you. And I read, was it yesterday? I think it was yesterday, a letter or a post on social media where the nexus between these crimes, like carjacking, people thieving your mirror off your car, a nexus is there between that and the accidents on the roads. He said, I'm going to invite you to make a comment specifically on this. And the nexus is, and I had never seen it in this light until I read, I think is, I can't remember who exactly wrote it, until I read it yesterday on social media. And he's saying that he started off by saying that he had some mirror stolen from his car, and he had to get a replacement of the old mechanism because in trying to steal the mirror, they damaged the mechanism. He said he went to the used car places in Guyana, and the price was so exorbitant that he decided he was going to get it from the UK. And he sourced the replacement from the UK. It arrived in Guyana. He paid his duties and everything, and it was much cheaper than he could have acquired it in Guyana. Imagine that. That is what he said. And then he made the nexus, because what happened now is not only that they're thieving these parts to sell, because when a car gets in an accident, you got to get parts if you want it fixed. But they're now stealing, they're hijacking the entire car because of the demand for these parts and so on. So there's the nexus between these type of crimes, people thieving parts off your vehicle, and people then thieving the entire vehicle and committing murder in the process because there is a market for pay parts. So when they steal these cars, they take them to the what we used to call chop shops, and these people dismantling them, sell them as parts and all of that. So it's a wheel, and I want people to understand. I want my viewers to understand that the nexus between that type of crime and the road accidents, because of the frequent road accidents, there is a demand for spare parts, and in order to satisfy the demand, you have these people thieving parts and thieving the entire car, take it to chop shops to satisfy the demand for pay parts. So there's a clear nexus. So I'm saying, therefore, that the authorities, and we'll deal with it a little later, must address the accidents on the road. I have a whole section here this morning to deal with that again. So many fatal accidents over the past week. So I hope that they see this nexus between road accidents and the carjacking and which leads to murder and the larceny of parts from motor vehicles. CC, I want to hear your views on this. Because as I've said, I had never, and to be quite candid, I had never looked at it that way until I read that, I think it was, I can't remember who wrote it, until I read that yesterday. Then I realized, oh yes, there is a nexus. So I'm hoping that the man who sits in the chair, the crime chief, the Minister of Home Affairs, those people who seem comatose, that they will see this nexus and not only try to deal with the people who are thieving these things out of the car, but you got to deal with the fence too. There's the people who buying. You got to deal with the accidents, because if there are not that many accidents, then they're not going to be that high demand for parts. CC, your take.
I heard before, that there was some kind of connection where the the um the dealers that they're buying the parts and they buying the things wholesale scale, and things are so expensive, that you mentioned somebody said he imported one and it costs less than what he buy that. Yes, there might be a connection here with the, you have the Fortune Stephen going to the dealers, right business, the dealers doing their business, and in the process a lot of murders and other serious offenses are being committed. So I never really think about it, but now seeing that you brought it up, maybe there is a connection with that.
Yeah, man. Yeah. As I said, I did not look at it that way too, but there seems to be a clear connection between accidents, whether fatal, damage, serious, minor. Because parts, once you get in an accident, parts got to be repaired. Once you got to,
Yeah.
the vehicle has to be repaired. Once the vehicle has to be repaired, parts have to be sourced. Once parts have to be sourced, then there's a demand for those parts, and that fuels these type of crimes and so on. And then we had next. I'm talking about the bloodshed again. 57 village rice farmer fatally stabbed. The story of where some altercation between a rice farmer, this is 57 village and the quarantine, and he was stabbed and killed. And then the one perhaps that takes the cake, really, if you can put it that way, two men in their 60s in the Dharamshala, I think in your Akanji, had some argument, one pick up a piece of wood and lash the other one, and he died. Then we had in Regent Street a few days ago, suspected murder of a Regent Street businessman, where he was found dead with marks of violence. I understand that his father, who operates the business along with him, or a separate business in the same building, or somewhere there, that is what is being reported. He was arrested. I saw a picture with him in handcuff, and I was surprised that they're arresting people now in handcuff again, handcuffing them. We're gonna deal with that part a little later as well. So yeah, we had that. And then we had, I think it was Monday morning, a soldier shot his colleague, killing him. The story is that the two of them early Monday morning, I think it was, had some argument. It has been reported that the one who is deceased took out a magazine from his rifle and struck the other one, who in turn took his AK-47 with which he was armed and discharged several rounds in his direction. Initially, they said 3 rounds. I think the first report I said 3 rounds, but I saw a video with a lot of bullet holes on some wall. And then later on, some report is saying that he may have discharged as many as 27 rounds. The magazine contained 30, and he may have discharged as many as 27 rounds in the direction of his escaping colleague. So clearly intention, he intended to mow him down, and he succeeded in doing so. So again, that type of crime. And then we had one too where I saw a miner from Goshen. He died, some mining pit caved in the Cayuni, in a mining pit, and killed him. So it's a lot of bloodshed. I haven't gone to the accidents as yet, but a lot of bloodshed over the past week. And every time we come here on a Wednesday and we reflect on the preceding week, you have all of these incidents. And I want, before we go, got to extend condolences to the relatives and the friends of all these surviving people in terms of GDF, 2 persons in the GDF. the Daniels and the man who was shot and killed, two persons. So condolences to those in the Guyana Defense Force. And I was reading the account of the death of the officer from the GDF, and then the name seemed familiar, especially when his wife's name was mentioned. And then I recognized that there's someone that I know. Is someone that I know who they have a young child. I don't think the child can be a year old, and that is what you have happening, murder. And they said that a wanted bulletin was issued for 2 suspects, and it was reported, I think, yesterday that one of the suspects was arrested. And even before then, the stolen car was recovered somewhere in Stoll Avenue, Campbellville. Well, I hope they do a lot of work on that car. And don't worry, don't fight yourself that the fact that you arrest a suspect and then you're going to extract, remember say extract, I didn't say by foul means, I say you're going to extract by whatever means a confession statement, and then you're going to rely on that. The video showed that, well, the story goes that one of the suspects hired the car on West Demerara. He sat in the back seat of the car. That is what is being reported. So evidence. Mr. Conway speaks about the low car theory. Evidence, transfer of evidence is gonna be there. Then when the video showed that when the officer fell down and died, they went into the car and they drove away the car. Evidence again got to be there. No matter what they do and they try to eliminate the evidence will remain. That is the teaching. And then they drove from a particular point where the murder took place, and the car was found at the next point. Between point A, where the car was stolen, and point B, I am sure they have lots and lots of surveillance cameras to show the movement of the car. And let me give you all some simple basic advice. All you have to do is walk out the streets that were likely to get them there. That is not difficult. You got a map and you got to see if you leave that point, to leave point A to get to point B. These are the routes that you could have used, and do the proper canvassing and proper policing, because this is a terrible murder. We want to think most murders, if not all, are. But man, in this manner, young promising officer with a young wife and a young child is gone down like that. I hope they will do everything possible to make sure that the perpetrators are brought to justice. And I've said before, don't fight to get no confession statement and leave it there. Investigate further and make sure you get proper evidence. Mr. Conway.
You use a nice word there, canvassing. They need to do quite a lot of canvassing, and also forensic evidence. Something in the car there, fingerprint, sometimes a piece of fiber, hair, all sort of things there that they can do if they do meticulous investigation, and that's what they gotta do. And you already said canvassing. What Safe City, those cameras that I put up there, those cameras that I say will replace boots on the ground. I don't know what they can get out of them, but they need to do meticulous work, painstaking work to solve that crime. And I think it can be solved because they don't have the car, and forensic got to come into play. Although I'm not certain what really is going on or what is the capability of our forensic unit that we have at the university compound.
Yes, CC, you made a very good point about the Safe City, but then you cannot place much confidence in that, because remember you had this execution style killing of Ricardo Fagundes, paper shorts, just a stone's throw from the official residence of the president. And then they say the cameras in the area, the same Safe City cameras in the area, they claim were not working, so they couldn't identify or they couldn't get evidence and get stuff from those cameras. So I am not too confident in that aspect, but I'm sure they're going to have private persons have cameras along the way, and I hope they will seek to canvass, as I've said, canvass. By now, that should have been tied up. By now, that part of it should have been tied up. You should have done the canvassing, and you should be able to recover. I am sure that you're going to get CCTV cameras to show the route that the persons drive, and maybe even when they park the car where they abandoned it and when they left. Because they're saying that when the car was found, it had no number plate, which means that they had to take it off. They had to take it off. So again, some time would have been spent to take off. So again, please, Mr. Crime Chief, y'all make sure you do a little work to get this thing solved, to bring some kind of closure to the relatives and friends and families, members of the GDF, and so on in this matter. Now, let me, as I said, condolences to all of those relatives of those persons. I'm sure CC would want to express condolences as well. And before I move on, because we're going to deal with the accidents, there's only part of all the bloodshed. We get the accidents, and I have some videos and pictures to show in relation to those accidents. So let me start off by showing you some of those videos. Videos that we're talking about. During the videos, we're going to get some commentary as to what really transpires. Let me load up the first video. Now look at this one. This one, I mean, we're talking about a certain type of behavior. Now look at this. Before I make any comment, you look at this and see what we're talking about. Folks, what you saw there is a escort, a traffic escort, outrider as you would call it. And if you tell me that that policeman is not reckless and suicidal, if you tell me that's not the case, I will have to question your judgment. Mr. Conway, what are your views on that?
Well, I didn't get to see it clearly, you know. I don't think it was shown clearly. I think you should show it back again there.
All right.
I saw it before, but I think the viewers saw it clearly, you know.
Let me get the viewers to see this thing again. What I love is. There you have it, a repeat. Let me tell you this. I don't know if you're familiar with the term squeezing, but I am there watching this thing the first time, and I squeeze in, especially when he went around that bend and that truck coming. I said, oh, this man dead. Yeah, Brendan, the man playing chapters. This is madness. This is craziness. And I hope someone would have called this ranking and put him to sit down and have a nice talk with him. This man is endangering his own life and the lives of others on the roadway. He's supposed to be escorting somebody. I look chapters, look styles, and all sort of things. The motorcycle swing. As I said, I was squeezing. I was squeezing and praying that this man is going to be safe. Thankfully, he ended up safe, I guess, after that. But how can you be? Those type of things cannot be tolerated. I know when you are on escorts, I have had the experience of escorting the president when I was commander, because you know the protocol is when the president visits your division, the commander has to be a part of the convoy. And what happens is that the motorcyclists are there, the outriders, followed by the commander. and then the convoy with the president vehicle. And I would instruct the drivers, hey, the motorcyclists, don't be reckless on the road. I remember on one occasion we were going up the quarantine and we were driving at what I considered a reasonable speed, but apparently it wasn't fast enough for the presidential people. It was President Jagdeo at the time. And the lead vehicle for that president entourage was coming up under my vehicle and flashing the light. In other words, he was telling me to speed up. I instructed my driver to pull over. And my driver pulled over, and I signaled to them to let them go ahead. Because no way I was going to endanger my life and the life of other people on the road just because they want to get to a particular point in a short space of time. That is reckless behavior. That is reckless behavior. And again, I say, the man, you know, they might be celebrating his skill, but it only takes one stray dog on this country area, one stray dog to run across the road, or something to happen, some driver to miscalculate, and there you're gonna have a fatal accident. See?
I had the experience too, you know, right in Borbies with President Jagdeo. He loves speed. And I used to make sure, hey, I slow him down. I don't care what you do. I used to behave bad in his vehicle. But I used to make sure tell my driver, they must not pass us. And we used to make sure that we who are escorting control the thing. But what I saw with that motorcyclist there, something is wrong. I don't know if he was under the influence of drinks or drugs, but something is definitely wrong. And maybe it's a good thing that the Lord was there to protect him and to protect others.
Sorry, let me show another video. As I say, I got a few of these things I wanted to show. There is this one where, look, another.
Fly off the road, which all them fucking things were to knock somebody out by
A motorbike.
I want to fly off the road, which all them fucking things were to knock somebody out by
A motorbike.
Not a vehicle gone overboard, I guess extensive damage and so on. Another accident here, look at this.
A rotten thing altogether, man.
And then let me show you a few slides here too. I'm doing this not to alarm people, but to let you realize what is going on. Look at this. This is Coffee Square a few days ago. This is Coffee Square a few days ago. Let me go back to the first picture. The second picture. Look at next one here. Next one, look. This is accident again, sometime last week. Look what happened here. Look, this is the same car. This is part of the picture. This is the first part of the car, and this is the second part. Car bust in two. I don't think anybody died in that, but car bust in two, and that's what we're saying. These are the things that fuel the need for parts. I don't know this can be repaired, but that what leads to more than all of these type of things. People want spare parts, and therefore they do everything to get these parts to satisfy the market. That is what we have now. See, and then let me move on again in terms of accidents. We had this report again. Medical staff of the GPHC, that's the Guyana Public Hospital Corporation, Rabindra Surijdin, he was the manager of the Institute of Health Sciences Education, right? Killed Liliandal accident. His wife is critical. Say he was shot proceeding east, and he lost control, crashed into a concrete median, and perished. His wife is supposed to be critical at the time when it was reported in hospital. I hope that she recovers. I hope, wish her a speedy recovery. But there again, a young man, obviously well educated, because as they say, he's the manager of the Institute of Health Sciences Education at the Public Hospital Corporation. Life snuffed out in an accident. And this is one, I don't know, they might classify it as an incident because he crashed into a culvert, a concrete median, they say. So, you know, they make a distinction between fatal accidents and fatal incidents. So I'm not sure how they're going to classify that. And this is last week, Friday night, this occurred. And something is wrong, perhaps something is wrong. I'm going to ask Mr. Cowie to comment on this as well. Because in that same area, by the infectious disease hospital, we call the COVID hospital at Liliendal, I think only week before the last, there was another fatal accident there where they first reported that the man crashed into a dog and then he died. And then later on, they arrested somebody in respect to the same accident. So CC, maybe they need to examine that area to see if there are steps that can be taken to make that area safer. I recall when I was traffic chief, the government had brought in a Professor Boudou from out of the States, and he did a survey to discover the most dangerous stretch of road in Guyana. And it was discovered that that stretch of road was a road going towards the Better Hope area. And because of that, studies, mitigation measures were put in place. So I think they might have to do a study to determine, because to have two fatal accidents in, I think, 2 weeks in the same area may suggest that you might have issues. You might have issues in that area dealing with engineering. I don't know, but they need to really take a look. See your comments on that?
I think what I remember they said they might hit a dog. I think it was a motorcyclist, and then a couple of days after they arrested somebody. But what the police not doing no real holistic approach towards traffic, you know. They need to do holistic and a realistic approach. What they should do is set up what I call a integrated crime traffic information system, where all the issues in all the various division is sent to a central location, and where analytical work is being done, and then they can do what we call a 3D approach to traffic management. That is data driven decision. Use the data and use your human and other resources to deal with the reality. They need to have all those information coming to a central body and do analytical work. Things like the time the thing happened, the days of the week, the location, the category of drivers involved, all those things that they need to analyze. Or if you don't have the data, you can't do analytical work. So I'm saying have a what I would call an integrated traffic information system, and based on the analysis, you use your human and other resources to deal with the reality. We call it a 3D approach, data-driven decision. That's the way we must go. Not just tell them, hey, go and line the road, to prevent speeding.
Yeah, well, that is a level of intellect that some of these people have, you know. And let me say this: unless the system is drastically changed, I know when I was there, both as a traffic chief and as operations, if you ask them, they're going to tell you they have the compilation of the various accidents, the area they occur, the timing which the time these accidents occur. They have all of that, the gender involved, the age group, and all of that is there. But it's the analysis that we're talking about, and that is the important thing: the analysis, and to put proper measures in place to deal with it. I have been saying over and over, they have the public propaganda unit that I refer to them as. But they should get together and do public service clips, information to tell people how to use the road, because it is clear as crystal that people who are using the road, all categories, whether they're drivers, whether they are motorcyclists, whether they're pillion riders, whether they are truck drivers, whether they're pedestrian, whether they're pedicite, all categories of road users need to be targeted, to be educated in this, all categories. None should be excluded. None should be excluded. But they're not doing anything. If they put the same energies into attacking or to providing information on traffic that they put into dance competition and cook-up rice competition, I suspect that we're going to be better off. They are putting their energies and their resources in the wrong direction, and that is part of the problem. Now let me Let me move on to, and then the next accident here, I made a note, quarantine motorcyclist killed in crash, pillion rider injured. This is on the 79 Quarantine Public Road, early Monday morning. That's Monday, 2 days ago. And they said they weren't wearing safety helmets. There's another issue. That is what the release said. And then you go on, a biker dies in Mandela Avenue crash. And this happened Sunday night. He involved in an accident with a lorry. That is what they're reporting, and he died. Then only yesterday on the Essequibo coast, Abdun on the Essequibo coast, and here this one, a 13-year-old boy fell off the back of a canter and was crushed to death. That happened Monday night. They said the canter was driven by a businessman that this boy was employed with. A 13-year-old boy employed by a businessman. The boy fell off the truck and was crushed. And what happened to the Ministry of Education, what happened to the Ministry of Labor, 13-year-old employed, child labor. And I got a strong suspicion they're going to deal with the accident part, and they're not going to look into the other aspect. Why is this 13-year-old not at school? Or we might say he came out of school because this thing happened in the night. So maybe he goes to school during the course of the day. But why is he employed? Why is a 13-year-old employed? And all of those social issues that might have forced him to seek employment should be looked at. You know, people run and they tell you all sort of fancy things, but this is the reality. This is the reality of what is going on. And then only yesterday afternoon again, two friends, they said, died on the Linden-Suzaik Highway. They were traveling, I think they were going south, and a car was behind them. The carman said that they attempted to turn across the road. He tried to avoid a collision. He struck them. Both of them died. Both of them died. So from last week, Wednesday to now, you've had all of those fatal accidents. All of those. And what is being done? Perhaps a lot, but we don't know. We don't know. Since February of this year, the Ministry of Home Affairs issued a statement. At that time, they said, I think it was 16 fatal accidents. Now there will be multiple for 16s at this stage. Because even at that time, people in the media were saying that that is not accurate, because they were keeping a daily tally based on the release from the police traffic department or the police corporate communication unit, and they are the higher figure. And then the police decide now, oh, there's a distinction between fatal accidents and fatal incidents. I never knew, well, there was always that distinction. But as I know it, fatal incidents were when primarily you had farmers on the tractors in the rice field or in the back dam, not on the road, and according to the definition of road where where the public has access, it's in a rice field, and then the tractor might turn over, pin them to death. That is a fatal incident, no doubt. We know that. But we had the one in the quarantine earlier this year, where on the 19 Public Road, man ran into, I think it was an animal or something, and they died, and they said, well, there is an incident. That is what they categorize it as, an incident. So at the end of the day, people have died. That is what they need to recognize. Whether you want to cut the figure and try to look good by saying, oh, that wasn't a fatal accident, it was a fatal incident. At the end of the day, people died on the road. That is the reality. People die on the road. So we really got to, as I said, nothing is being done that we are aware of. One statement from the ministry. The man who sits in the chair as the commissioner calls a meeting, transfers, they said they rotate all the traffic head. He instructs them to line all the roads. Police must line all the roads to prevent speeding. Madness. Police must line all the roads to prevent speeding. And he talked about some other Jim Cockbring Ramgoat story. But it is clear that they lack the competence to deal with this thing. It is clear as day, as crystal, that the people who sit there at the level of the ministry, at the level of the police force, they lack the competence to properly address the issue. Because I have said here before, and let us go back and see, this thing requires a holistic approach, a comprehensive approach. No one thing transferring traffic heads around and them type of nonsense just stressing out people is going to be able to address the issue. And that is the problem. I don't know that they are sitting down and addressing this thing in an holistic way. Oh, you amend the Motor Vehicle and Road Traffic Act to make causing death now punishable by more years in jail and alcohol, all kind of things. But it's a lot of piecemeal measures. And that is not going to work. Because they do these things that I've said before, no public information. Very soon, if they have not done this yet, the electric bikes will now, after we registered and all of that. I don't know that they have a campaign to educate people how to use the or what the amendment to the law will entail. Just pass a piece of legislation in Parliament and leave it like that. And that is the problem we have. Incompetence, and in many cases, corruption. Because you cannot deny now that all the evidence that has come to the front in respect to driver's license and so on, the system is corrupt. The system is corrupt. And all of these accidents and so on might be the manifestation of the corruption. Mr. Conway, please help me out here again.
You in an article you mentioned about the 6C corruption,
Yeah.
and I always gotta go back to Rowan Singh, who was it the audit unit, former senior superintendent, and he concluded in his report that 1,157 potential killers. Talking about the driver, people get a driver license because when potential killers has been get loose on the road, they're no longer potential killers, they're actual killers. And nobody has made an effort to even track down one to see how he got his driver license through corruption. And you talk about corruption at traffic headquarters, at the station, in the divisions, in the subdivisions, all over the place. People getting their driver's license by corrupt means and they can't drive. I mentioned before that I did my own survey and I discovered that over 90% of those persons who are going to the driving school or persons who are facilitating the program for them to learn to drive already get a driver license. They already get a driver license and they get into driving school. So you got to address the corruption because the potential killers have now become real killers on our road, Paul. And going back to where they're cocking the figures, last week they talk about there was an accident at 40 miles in Sano where a truck turned over and 2 persons died, and they classified as an incident when the Bartica Patar Road, which run through the Sano, is gazetted as a road. It is gazetted as Bartica Patar Road, and they say no, there's no road. There was a trailer or something. They need to, we mentioned all the time, have a holistic and realistic approach towards the traffic situation or the fatal accidents, the minor accident, the serious accident, the danger accident, the damage accidents, all will continue to happen. And also limbs and lives are in perpetual danger on our roads.
You mentioned a lot there, but you didn't mention the incidents, the fatal incident too. So you're going to get fatal incidents as well. Now, this question has been asked here. Let me answer this question right now. Why is there traffic ranks manning vehicle traffic at working traffic lights? Can't understand this foolishness. You know, it is not foolishness, Steve. It is not. I explained this before on this program. Traffic lights are meant for effectiveness, not for efficiency. Let me repeat it again. Traffic lights are meant for effectiveness. So it is effective, there is control, you know, green light you have to go, red light you have to stop, and you know all of that. The problem is at peak times, it becomes very inefficient in that in many cases, because the lights that we have are mechanical, so many seconds or so many minutes on green, then it changed to the next color, then it changed to the next color. It is pre-programmed. It is pre-programmed. That is the ones that we have in Guyana, mechanical. And what happens? Sometimes you have a red light, or put it this way, you have a red light for people to stop, but nothing is coming in the opposite direction. So had it not been for the light, that people could have proceeded safely over. But because the light is red, you have to obey the light, you have to stop. So that is where it becomes very ineffective, even though it is not ineffective, it is not efficient. And the roundabouts, if you go to places like Barbados and London and all those places, they have roundabouts because roundabouts are more efficient. Somebody said, check, they don't have any song. Let me see. CC, can you hear me?
Yes, I'm hearing you.
Well, somebody said Scorpio or something said no song. So
Loud
maybe
and clear.
check your system, huh? Other
Loud and
people are
clear.
hearing. So check your system, Scorpio or whatever it is. Check your system. So yeah, that's what I'm saying. So the traffic lights, yeah, you might have justification. Thank you all that you're hearing me loud and clear. So that gentleman who says that here, he needs to check his system. So yeah, you can justify a traffic rank at these intersections during the peak time to make sure that the traffic flows more efficiently. So that is the explanation for that. The next thing someone asks, and I'm going to address that now, somebody questioned about flashing lights. Again, somebody asked the question, why police are always driving around with flashing light? Well, I think it's bang along. Bang along, not only police driving around with flashing light, even private vehicles. The law is clear. Flashing light are, as they call, emergency warning devices, are for emergency vehicles only. And emergency vehicles are police vehicles, fire service vehicles, and ambulances. No other category. We know that the minister did say a few months ago that they were going to tweak, that is the word he used, the Motor Vehicle and Road Traffic Act, to allow for diplomats and certain, I can't remember the exact term he used, but certain other categories of important people or something like that. He did say that. And we criticize it on this program, and others have done so as well. So they just drive around with the flashing light, but the flashing light and the siren are intended to ensure that people move out the way in case of an emergency. But people have now become desensitized to the flashing light and the siren because these things are flashing light and vehicle, siren, and there's no emergency. There is no emergency. They just put on the light. I see it all the time along the East Coast and elsewhere. Vehicle coming on, flashing light. And then you would even see a police vehicle, marked police vehicle with flashing light, and stop at a stop sign, or stop at the traffic light, at the red light. So all of that you have, all of that, and I say all of these things require training. I am certain that those persons get they permit to drive police vehicles. They don't sit them down and tell them about these additional aspects. How to use when to use your siren, when to use the flashing light. Some people just drive around with the light. His style is Christmas time. Christmas time. Right? Christmas lights. Now let me before I move on to the next thing, let me shout out to yeah, Bray Price is here. He says an abuse of power. I agree, it's a Bray abuse. Barbara is here as well, making some comments. Welcome, Barbara. Welcome. People going what Barbara said weeks ago. She was a few weeks ago. Asked the same question. Observe the private company ambulance put on the siren just to go to churches to buy chicken. That is what happening. It's craziness. It's craziness. Cheryl is here with us. Welcome, Cheryl. Welcome. Of course, some of the usual people. Terrence talk about, he's hearing me loud and clear. He said, Nigel is here on Facebook. Welcome to you, guys. Welcome. The Carlton is here. Carol is always here. She's here. She says she's hearing loud and clear. You have so many persons here this morning. Numbers. School full, man. School full. Welcome. We have so much more to tell you, and we're gonna tell you what you need to know. We're gonna tell you. You have Ray Shan is here with us this morning. Sister Trifosa, welcome. Glenn Ford, all of these people here. You have Steve, Esther. Welcome all of you to this morning's program. Now, let me move on. Let me show you. Let me show you another picture. You know, again, let me show you another picture, and then I'm gonna ask Mr. Conway to explain this one. Where is it? This is it here. That picture. Mr. Conway, let me add Mr. Conway to this. Mr. Conway, can you explain to me and the viewers what really transpired?
Yeah, Paul. Hello? Yeah, Paul. Are you
Yeah,
hearing
go
me?
ahead, go ahead. We can hear you. Go ahead.
Yeah, there's a picture of a police constable at Mackenzie Police Station. Shot in the knee. I think the bullet exit his toe. He went on a report where he arrested a man who had assaulted his girlfriend, cuffed her, and he broke her jaw. The policeman arrested him, took him to Linden Police Station. No handcuff, no searching, and at the station, he attempted to put him in the lockups. The guy put up a fight. He snatched away the policeman's weapon, discharged several rounds, pointed a weapon in the chest of the policeman. The policeman backs it away, and a round went off, which struck the policeman. By then, those in the police station, according to a report I got, scattered. They disappeared. The man escaped. Policeman was taken to the hospital. He spent some time there. He was discharged. The guy was arrested and he was charged with inflicting grievous bodily harm committed on the female. The other matters involving the incident at the station, I understand they said they got to send this file to the DPP for advice. The thing is, this happened at the station, not a word. There is a wall of silence, not a word so far. I think that happened last week, and not a word. They're keeping it, they holding it down. Well, here is it, where a policeman gets shot in a police station. And the basic thing is, he did not follow the principles. He did not search the man. This was a man who cuffed a woman, broke her jaw. He arrested him, no handcuff, bring her to the station, no searching, wrongs discharge, and the police have remained silent. There's a reason for search people, because when you search them, you might find what you're looking for. You might find evidence in relation to additional charge. You prevent the person from injuring you, injuring himself, injuring others, prevent the person from damaging property, public and private property. And the basic things that ought to be taught when they're in training, nothing was done. Here it is. A man, summarizing, assaulted a woman, broke her jaw. Policeman went for him, arrested him. No search when they arrested him. No handcuff. Went to the station, took away the policeman's weapon, discharged several rounds. Policeman latched away the weapon from him. A wrong been charged, and the policeman gets shot in the knee, and it passed through, I think, to his toe. Not a word from the police, not a word from the public, the confusing communication system. And they want people to have public confidence in the police. How would you have public confidence in the police when the police are not forthright? And if people don't have public confidence in the police, they really can't solve no crime, because you have persons with eyes who will not see, persons with ears who will not hear, persons with nose who will not smell, persons with tongues who will not speak, persons with hands who will not write anything, persons with feet who will not walk and go to the police station and make reports and that kind of thing there. That if there is no public confidence in the police cannot be effective. And here is it, policeman gets shot nearly over a week now, and not a word from the police force. How can we have public confidence in the police force?
How can we indeed? How can we? But again, it's failure to follow procedure. I did. Let me see. Let me put up. I think I have a slide here which speaks to there's a standing order that addresses this issue. Standing order. Let me walk through it. And here I'm inviting these young policemen to make notes at this stage. There's a standing order 73 addresses how prisoners or persons arrested and brought to the station should be treated. Subsection 41 of 73. And let me go through it for the edification of the police round. 41A, that is 73, 41A, subsection 40. And you can read it with me. I have it up there. So persons brought into custody at the station must be searched, to take from them any weapon, implement, poison, matches, or other articles with which they might cause mischief or injury to themselves or harm to others or damage to property. Mr. Conway spoke about it just now. That is what is done. That is A. Now B, what B says, to obtain evidence material to the charge, such as an article stolen or unlawfully obtained, or any document which may be other evidence either for the prosecution or in favor of the prisoner. You have it there. B. Let me go on to C, to the next C. To provide safe custody for the prisoner's property. And then finally, C, they say to enable police to satisfy the magistrate, if desired, whether the prisoner is possessed of sufficient means to pay a fine forthwith. In other words, I say you search, you find money, the money is large, you get a couple $1,000, and the magistrate say you're fined $5,000. If you were to say to the magistrate, well, look, you must pay it right now. If you were to say to the magistrate, well, look, I get $5,000, the police can then say, well, look, this man get money large at the station. Because when we search, we found him there. Let me quickly go back to that from A. Is there? You have to search to take possession, to take from them any weapon, implement, poison, matches, or other articles with which they might cause mischief or injury. So you gotta search to find the sponge, the lighter, and the wire. I made the point here again some time ago. It's the same thing. Policemen have lost their lives. I always refer to the Aldridge matter at Sparnam, where a man was arrested, taken to the police station. He was not searched. He had a gun on him. He shot and killed the police. An old character by the name of Gun Youth. They used to call him Gun Youth. And yet still you have had these incidents. We had one at Montepo a couple of months ago where a man killed his wife or reputed wife. Policemen arrested him. The man is there walking, arms swinging casually. The man got into the back of a pickup truck with the police. And so many other incidents. But it's time that the people are properly trained. And this is lack of training and perhaps resources, because if you're going to talk about handcuff, then one presumes that the ranks on going on duty should have handcuff. But if the ranks are sent on duty without handcuff, then they can't handcuff anyone. So all of this got to be looked in. You have a man sit down there who running all over the place behind the president, and all of them pampersetting, and these are things that got to address, because it involves the safety of the ranks who are working with you. And you have, even though they have a responsibility for their own safety, you as a manager, you too have a responsibility to ensure that they are trained in safety and that they are provided with the necessary tools to make them safe. That's what you have. That policeman could have been killed. The policeman could have been killed. Now he's injured, and somebody say, I think somebody say next thing they're going to transfer it to the TSU. Because they're going to blame me for being slack. They're going to look at the system. They're going to blame E for being slack. And that is what you have. That is what you have. My brother, do you want to say anything more on that before we move forward?
Yeah. And let me talk about searching. It's not only searching the living, searching the dead. A Karamba incident that happened at Kurpung sometime in the 80s. There was a dredging operation conducted by one of the Adams brothers in the Kurpung Creek, that's the Mazaruni River. And there was a dispute, and the general manager for that operation suspected that a guy had stolen some diamonds, a whole lot of diamonds from the operation. And he went into the camp, went back on the dredge, and shot the guy in his chest. He died on the spot. The police from Kurpung visited the scene, saw what appeared to be bullet holes in his chest, was a morning, and took the body to Kurpung police station, awaiting transportation to be sent so that they can have a post-mortem and further investigation in Georgetown. Well, unfortunately, we couldn't get any charter aircraft until the next day. The guy was a Muslim, and they wanted to bury him the same day, just after the post-mortem examination. I remember Dr. Leslie Mutu, the pathologist, and Dr. Mutu said, hey, What's going to happen? As soon as the body reaches Ogle, let it come straight to the mortuary at the Georgetown Hospital, and I will do the postmortem and then hand over the body to the relatives. They took the body to the mortuary, and there it is in the man's underwear, in his what we call his buckto, was a kid, what we call a kiddie, with a large amount of great diamonds. Remember the incident? The incident was a diamonds, so he stole diamonds. There in his crotch, a large kitty with a whole set of great diamonds. And Dr. Mutu said, the police don't search nobody. The police don't search nobody. And I'm taking the diamonds and carry them to Commissioner Ragabir. Whether or not he carried him to Commissioner Ragabir, I don't know, but none of us could have the courage enough to ask Ragabir whether the commissioner, whether he got the diamonds or not. The point I want to make is that you need to sort your debt too. Sort, you might find wongs, you might find a whole set of evidence material to the charge. But there's it at Kurpung, and the police groan in Kurpung. Oh God, by we had the body there for all day, all night. By if we didn't know we search the body, by we'd really be looking good. But they didn't search. And so I'm making the point, search even the dead and all, person get injury, search them, search the person thoroughly. And that's the way you must go.
Yeah, because you even sort your identification. Sometimes the person is there, you don't know the name, you might get identification on them. And might get in these days cell phone and all these things you could contact next of kin. So let me hope that they learn from that. Now the next thing that I want to update on this Maja fire. Let me talk. You know, we can't allow that thing to go by. 20 children lost their life, and it looked like they get into the stage where it is business as usual. So see, Stabrook News has been carrying editorials, and they pointed out the fact that I know this is one of the issues that the Minister of Education, who is trying to distance herself from what took place at this Maja Dam, the Stabrook News reported that the particular minister, commissioned a report from UNICEF. And UNICEF here, for those who don't know, is a body from the United Nations International Children's Emergency Fund. They did an inspection, I guess. They put up a report, pointed out a lot of things, made a lot of recommendations. And the minister responds, according to Stabrook News, the minister responds, the report was sent to the relevant agencies. Can you imagine that? A report or an investigation or some commission recommendations are made, and the person who caused this report to be put together was just satisfied with sending it to the relevant agencies and nothing more. And everybody in this thing now, as we said, the 15-year-old, I think she is charged with 19 counts of murder, charged within a week or just over a week with 19 counts. But 2 weeks down the road, we are hearing nothing but the 20th count. So I suspect whenever she appears again on the 4th or 5th of July, that other count might be read to her. So that is what you have. And no one is dealing with the fact that this place was grilled, just preventing rescue and escape by these victims. Nobody's addressing that. Nobody's addressing the fact that there are 3 reports, 2 from the Guyana Fire Service late last year, this year, and this report, a year ago, this report came in, and nothing, and they're not addressing that. President indicated that they are going to have a COI, a Commission of Inquiry. We ain't heard anything further about that. People have said that the Commission of Inquiry, the terms of reference, that first of all, it should not be a thing where the government alone identify the persons to sit at the Commission of Inquiry. The opposition, public, civil society should be involved. So you have people who are deemed to be credible, and that the terms of reference are broad-based, so that people can be satisfied that this thing will be properly investigated. You don't need anything more. And here, this morning, and I invite you to read the editorial, today's editorial in Stabrook News, because while I believe that you have to subscribe, if you're online, you have to subscribe to read news items and so on. Things like, I don't think you have to subscribe to read the editorial. And here what the editorial says here this morning, the headline is responsibility And let me read it quickly for you. They say 3 weeks have passed. No resignations have been tendered, and no one has been fired. Under the Westminster style of government, it is the standard convention for the ministers to bear the ultimate responsibility or lack of action, as in this instance, or is our ministry by tendering his or resignation. They go on. Obviously, that system of honor does not apply here. Apparently, no one in the government is going to be held accountable for this tragedy. It appears once again that the wait for the storm to blow over philosophy is in effect. And as I said, we're still awaiting this. That is what the editorial, it is there. And I extracted that part and put it on my social media page. But I was telling nobody, 19 people, are you telling us we live in a real democracy? That's not a real, as I said, God is not a real place. We live in a civilized plantation. It is not a real place. 3 weeks gone down the road. They rush and they charge this child within a week or just over a week of this incident. And we mentioned last week, after the charge is filed, the child is remanded. 15-year-old child, she's to be blamed, is remanded. They get help from the US. They claim that they get help from the US to assist in determining the cause of fire. So the experts went there. After Mark Phillips, the Prime Minister, and Manik Chan, the Minister of Affairs, and all sorts of people went there and contaminated the scene, the crime scene. They trampled all over it. Then they sought help from the US to go there and to assist them. That is what you have. This is madness. That's the only way to describe it. It is madness. So you're not hearing anything. And as Starbrook News has indicated, it's a wait for the storm to blow over philosophy. We say in this program, we refer to it as a limited shelf life. So there and very now, that was the incident. It can expire and we can continue business as usual. Well, if the Guyanese public allows it to go like that, the blame is not on the officials. The blame will be on the Guyanese public, because this thing ought to be kept in the limelight all the time until people are held accountable for what happened. Not only the child who is alleged to have started the fire, but the people who bar up the place, just preventing escape and rescue. The people who disregarded the reports from the fire service and UNICEF, they are the ones who got to be held accountable as well. They are the ones who should be held accountable as well. Mr. Conway, please join me in this.
Paul, I'm shocked about the conduct of the minister, because the thing is, they had prior knowledge. United Nations organization submitted a report pointing out all the things that were wrong and should be corrected. And here is, according to the report, according to the newspaper, the Minister of Education is saying that, oh, I sent it down to various persons who are responsible, like a conveyor belt. And no feedback, no proper checking. Is that leadership? Is that management? Is that command and control? That you just send on something and leave it like that, as critical as that? I remember my commissioner, my very favorite commissioner, Larry Lewis, used to say, mea culpa. And he said, when things go wrong, you open up your chest and take your blows. You can't be like Shaggy and say it wasn't me. You can't be like Shadow and say the man in the mirror is not me. Or you can't be like Michael Jackson and say, hey, Billie Jean is not my girl, Jade is not my son. It is your responsibility. Even you delegate, the overall responsibility remains with you. You are culpable. And you can't just say, I send it to the various person there. No way. You got to ensure that things what ought to be done is done. And you have to take the full responsibility. Open up your chest and take the blows. Say mea culpa. But we say we get a short shelf life, no? And it shouldn't be left like that. People must be held responsible. 20 students lost their lives. 20 students lost their lives there, and you're going to charge one girl, a little 50-year-old, and say that's the end of the matter? No way, it must not happen. And those who are responsible must be brought to book. They must be brought to book. So we're saying that we should not allow it to go like that. And you can't just say you send down something like what the police doing, um, conveyor belt, send file to DPV, send back as the case may be. That persons must be held responsible, and you cannot delegate your responsibility. The overall responsibility remains with you. You might delegate authority, but not responsibility, and the responsibility lies with the minister and others who are very neglectful in their work. The Attorney General like to talk a lot about misbehavior in public office. Well, you might say the minister is not a public person, misbehavior in public office. So the thing is that persons must be held responsibility for their lack of action or no action at all.
Yeah, you're teaching the allegation them, you're teaching the allegation, we talk about authority and responsibility. And for those, you are responsible. You are responsible. You have the authority. You can delegate some of your authority to somebody else to act on your behalf. But you are ultimately responsible. You can't say, well, oh, I delegated that to them and therefore they should be responsible. Yeah, you delegate your authority. But even though you delegate your authority, you are the person who is responsible. Well done, CC. Well done. We got to keep teaching these people. We have to keep teaching them. That's providing they can be taught. Now, going on to the next subject, we have this update on the Smalley incident. It was controversy all to the end. Smalley, Rondell Williams, I think he is, who escaped, the man who was there on death row, so to speak, escaped in a dramatic style, they say. They say when he escaped, 2 AK-47, 1 AR-15 up to now. They told us, well, only one M70 was recovered. So I don't know where the other 2 assault rifles are. But, he was fatally shot. You got a lot of story as to how this occurred. And I spoke to a friend on Sunday, and he was saying that I think they misconstrued what we said about the death of Smalley. I said, and CC agreed with me, we have no sympathy over the fact that Smalley is dead, right? But that was interpreted to me to say that we were supporting what they thought or what they think to be extrajudicial killing. No. We aren't going down the road at all. We are saying that if they wanted criminal like Smalley, is as they say, there's a shootout or anything like that, and he dies, that's it, he dies. But if he is arrested alive or if he surrenders, then due process should follow. So let me clarify that we never on this program supported any allegation of extrajudicial killing as well. So let me clarify that part. And then big controversy over the disposal of the body. According to attorney Nigel Hughes, the father of Williams went to him and said, look, first of all, with the postmortem examination, they say they weren't allowed to witness the postmortem. They saw the body and then they say out the place. So they got a witness to see if some of the allegations were true as to mutilation of the body or that. They didn't get to see that. Went to the lawyer. The lawyer said that he called the attorney general. The tape is there, Carlos, listen to it, said they're going to sue you. That is what Mr. Hughes said. He called the attorney general to tell him that, look, the family wanted the body. And the attorney general said, well, man, we ain't got no problem. You can talk to the COP, Commissioner of Police. There was communication between the two. Mr. Hughes said that he had actually alerted the court that they were going to file papers to prevent the disposal of the body until this thing is resolved. But the attorney general told him that he's going to speak to the commissioner and he have no problem in the body. He has no problem in the body being released and all of that. Based on that, I think they discontinued this alert to the court. And there was an exchange, and only to discover later on the attorney general said, well, they're not going to release the body because the body remains the property of the state and the state will dispose of the body. So they run frantically. I suspect that I can't really say why they could get back to the court. time was done, and the body was cremated. The family was allowed to be at whatever little service they might have had, but the body was cremated. And I say this, I know that if a prisoner, well, if a condemned prisoner, I'm not sure about the regular prisoner, man, you have had many cases where persons have died while serving sentences. And I don't know that the state would retain those bodies. I am almost certain that the state would then hand it over to the relatives, if the body is claimed, hand it over to the relatives for burial. In the case where a prisoner is sentenced to death and is in the condemned cell, when that person is executed, understand this thing clearly, and the only execution we have in Guyana, legal execution by hanging. Once that person is executed, the postmortem is done. I witnessed the last 2 executions we had in Guyana back in 1995 or 96, I think it was. The men were brought, they were found guilty of a murder on the quarantine, sentenced to death, went through all the process of appeal and all of that, and they were hanged. Cecil Kilkenny was the director of prisoner, and I was there as a witness, the police witness, along with the death report man from Albert Town Police Station, and they were executed. Now, following the execution, when they go downstairs, they follow the trapdoor, they go downstairs, the postmortem is done right there by the pathologist who comes there. The police give it all the papers. The postmortem is done right at the prison there. And the right is a standard thing, death by judicial hanging. And the bodies are then taken at around midday or sometime then, because the execution is done in the morning. The bodies are then taken to the La Prentere cemetery to be interned in an unmarked grave. The state does that. That is when a person is executed. But in this case, this man wasn't, it wasn't judicial execution. If there was, as people are claiming, it wasn't where they were hanged. So we understand this thing clearly. But then the surprising part, perhaps it should not be that surprising, is that the body was cremated. I am willing to bet that no person who was in the custody of the state when they take over a prisoner who has died, either by judicial execution or otherwise, was cremated, unless perhaps the family may have made that request. In this case, the family objected to the cremation, and they went ahead and they cremated the body. So, as I'm saying, is controversy right to the end. Controversy, and therefore, I mean, when you do this type of thing, you adding fuel to the controversy. You're adding fuel to the controversy. And then the question is now, people are asking whether all this was done in the manner it was done, to hide something in the first place. And then people are asking, what about this $10 million reward that was offered? Well, they're asking me, I don't know. I did not offer the reward. You got to ask those who had offered the reward, who will now benefit from that $10 million reward. Let me bring in Mr. Conway for text and batin, man. CC. Right,
yeah, Paul.
Right to the end, man.
All right. We're in a training mood. And let me talk a bit about use of force. Use of force, including deadly force, is sometimes a necessary part of the job, police job. But determining what is reasonable is highly subjective. And let me quote from the International Association of Chiefs of Police. And they're talking about force. And I say I'm in a training mood. And here what is a force is. Force, talking about force, the amount of effort required to compel compliance from an unwilling subject. And this includes physical, chemical, impact, electronic, and fire force. And in terms of excessive force, according to the IACP, International Association of Chiefs of Police, the application of an amount and or frequency of force greater than that required to compel compliance from a willing or unwilling subject. And unlike a case law, it's an American case law. It's Graham versus Connell, 1989. The court held that the calculus of reasonableness must embody allowance for the fact that the police officers are often forced to make split-second judgments on circumstances that are tense, uncertain, and rapidly evolving about the amount of force that is necessary in the particular situation. The standard account decision is the reasonable objective officer. I don't know the real circumstances under which Smalley met his death. I'm not certain, but I know that they had a $10 million bounty, as you rightly mentioned. And I wouldn't be surprised if there were some bounty hunters or bounty killers. As we said last week, I hold no tear for Smalley and his associates, none whatsoever. But the rule of law must prevail and due process must prevail. And I want to repeat that the use of force, the police can use deadly force, providing that they comply with some of they comply with the principles laid out there. And also determining what is reasonable is highly subjective. Therefore, I hold no brief for Smalley. I hold no brief for his associates. But the thing is that the police can use force, but depending that the force must be reasonable. They talk about a reasonably objective officer. And as I said before, there's a $10 million bounty, and I do not know if there were any bounty hunters or bounty killers. I do not know how Smalley met his death. There's a wall of silence from the police and from the joint services. And that is all I need to say on this matter.
Yeah, a wall of silence. And you made the point about justification and when a person can fire. So let me bring in this, let me show a video. It's a brief video. I want to invite you and the viewers to look at it, and afterwards we'll make some comments. Here we go. Let me show that one more time. See, when I see that, I recall before I invite you to make a comment, one of the rules of when you may shoot. It says that you may fire or shoot if you are attacked and you apprehend serious danger to your person and you are
unable to defend yourself by any other means.
Let me repeat that. It says, and that is in the police Bible, and I know that is normally taught to licensed firearm holders, taught to private security persons, all persons who carry firearm is taught this. You may shoot if you are attacked and you apprehend serious danger to your person and you are unable to defend yourself by any other means. That is what you see. What we saw there is that the man in the red shirt, partly, I don't know what led up to this. He seemed to have had some altercation, something up between he and this man or somebody else, and he pulled out what appears to be a knife from his waist. That is clear. He pulled out an object that appears to be a knife from his waist. But it is clear that having done so, he never moved towards this person who eventually shot him. He actually turned away and he was shot. So I don't know if you can say that the shooter apprehended serious danger to the person and he was unable to defend himself by any other means. I am not going to judge because, as I've said, you don't know all the circumstances. But based on what that video clip showed there, that brief clip showed there, it tends to suggest, and I'm choosing my words carefully, it tends to suggest that the shooting might not have been justified, even though he had a knife. The point is, and as a matter of fact, if you go further, because when the man dropped, he walked up to the man, so there was no fear of being injured, there was no apprehension of danger, so he walked up to the man. See, what are your views?
The first principle in the force order, 3269, when you may fire, and it's embedded in my head since about over 50 years ago. When you're attacked and you are praying serious danger to your person and you're unable to defend yourself by any other means. I didn't see him attacking the person there. Yes, the person had a knife. The person was some distance away, and the person turned away from him, and he was shot. And I don't know if it was a security guard or a civilian, because I think if all of them come under the same principle, and if it was a security guard, well then there's a total breach of the Security Act, the Private Security Act, because the Private Security guard must wear a uniform with the company's logo on it. And apart from the uniform, they must have identification card on them with distinct features. But there it is. If it's a security guard, here is a security. I cannot confirm that this person had on no uniform. And if you want to wear plain clothes, according to the Private Security Act, it got to be the discretion of the commission. The commissioner's got to approve that for you to wear CVs. And to me, I can't see that person, whether he's a security guard or even a civilian, justifying shooting somebody there. The face of it cannot be justified. And I repeat, when you're attacked and you apprehend serious danger to your person and you are unable to defend yourself by any other means. Certainly he wasn't attacked. Yes, the man had what appeared to be a weapon, a knife, and he torn away. And when he torn away, he was shot in the leg. So private security, we've been talking about it operating in the breach and nothing else.
Yeah, thanks, CC. Thanks. So let me move on. This is one of the, I know we had so many things to talk about, but I really want to deal with this one, you know. I know it's going to take some time. So let me move. I'm talking about the rule of law. This is a phrase that is bandied about quite a lot. The rule of law. And you know, last night I was listening to MSNBC, my favorite cable channel, Rachel Maddow, and she said that, and you know, I made a note. She said that the rule of law is a bedrock principle, that no one is above the law. Let me repeat that. She says that the rule of law is a bedrock principle, that no one is above the law. And that was said in reference to the indictment of the former president of the United States, Donald J. Trump. And something more about the rule of law. The rule of law is said the rule of law is a political ideal that all citizens and institutions within a country, state, or community are accountable to the same laws. It goes on to say, another definition, it's a principle under which all persons, institutions, and entities are accountable to laws that are publicly promulgated, equally enforced, and independently adjudicated. So you have a situation in the US where the former president, Donald Trump, was indicted yesterday on 37 counts of mishandling of classified documents, charged under the Espionage Act and all of that, right? He is Batman, as we would call it, or his valet, as they would say, was also charged with some counts. That's the US rule of law. So even though he's the former president, he's alleged to have committed criminal acts, and he is indicted. And remember, the principle too is that all persons are deemed innocent until proven by a competent court. So even though Donald Trump has been indicted, he's not guilty of anything. He's not guilty. He's going to get his day in court. I also read over the weekend that the former leader of Scotland, ruling Scottish National Party, has been arrested in connection with allegations of financial misconduct in the party. I think Strugen, I think that's how the name is pronounced, became the latest high-profile member of the party to be taken in for questioning over allegations that money raised for campaigning for Scottish independence was diverted elsewhere. Scotland, high political person arrested for questioning. United States, Trump yesterday arrested, arraigned for fraud. And let me look at Guyana. We're talking about the rule of law, you know. We're talking here about the rule of law, and we're seeing how the rule of law operates in what is supposed to be a democratic society. The US with all its faults, saying the rule of law is this principle that no one is above the law. So even if you are a former president and you are alleged to have broken the law has to take its course. In Guyana, we had a case where criminal charges were preferred against the current president before he became president. 19 criminal charges preferred. I'm talking politics, I'm talking facts preferred. For those charges to have been filed, you had to get the approval of the DPP, the Director of Public Prosecutions. Once the president obtained office, the same Director of Public Prosecutions withdrew the charges. And this is not a case, you can't come and tell me that, well, look, it's the president and therefore you can try, you can't go to court and all of that. Even if that is so, you're going to withdraw charges. That charges can be put down sine die until such time that he demits office and it can come. But not in Guyana. That type of rule don't apply. So the president, 19 charges, whoop, DPP withdraw. You're the current Attorney General who was charged in this law book story. And this case is even more egregious because having been charged, he went to court. Evidence was led in this matter. Evidence was led. The magistrate found that a prima facie case had been made out. The Attorney General, as is his right, challenged that whole process. Go to higher court, higher judicial authorities, and they ruled that he should lead his defense. And what happens? He's sworn in as Attorney General. The matter is discontinued. Again, I say, the same Director of Public Prosecutions who advised that those charges or the charge should be instituted, pull out, withdraw the charge. You had the Finance Minister, she's saying same thing. You had Winston Brassington, same thing. So when the Attorney General, as he likes to do, talk about the rule of law in Guyana is not that international principle that everybody know about. No. It's a different thing. It's a different thing. So everybody, as again, remember I say, the rule of law speaks to persons being no one being above the law. That's what the rule of law is. That bedrock principle that no one is above the law. But it is clear that in Guyana, that does not apply. That does not apply in Guyana because you also have the situation where an allegation, a serious allegation is made against a businessman and the head of the major crime unit at CID. Serious allegation is made. Is that allegation investigated? They bring in the RSS. Some people say a vowel is missing. And they came and they said, well, look, they believe that this police has the competency to investigate this matter. They have find no evidence. Meanwhile, they never spoke to the man who made the allegation, nothing like that. And rather than investigating such a serious allegation, what did they do? They went after the person, Dian Bascom, who made the allegation. Even though there's a law that we refer to as the whistleblower law that protects what we call disclosure of information. He disclosed information about corruption. And rather than using the law to protect him to get to the bottom of the allegation, no, cybercrime charges, a whole set of charges attempts were made, and I understand are still being made to dismiss him from the force. And you telling me about the rule of law? What rule of law you talking about? Is that the same one that caused Donald Trump and the Scottish leader to be, in one case, in the latter case, investigated, in the former case, indicted? No. You have a different concept of the rule of law. You have a serious allegation of corruption leveled against the vice president. I'm talking about now the Sugate, where it's alleged that the vice president takes millions of dollars in bribes to facilitate contracts and so on. That is the allegation that is made. And what happens? Has that been investigated? No. That is not investigated. So they should never ever, if the authorities, the current authorities in Guyana want to speak about the rule of law, they must give us what their definition of the rule of law is. Because clearly, this bedrock ideal principle that Rachel Maddow spoke about, and that is contained in all of those dictionaries and texts, that doesn't apply to Guyana. It's not the same rule of law. It is not the same rule of law that applies in Guyana. I'll take a lot about it. Let me bring in Mr. Conway to have his say. Mr. Conway.
Yeah, the rule of law in Guyana, as far as I'm concerned, is for certain, apply for certain persons, certain elite, certain untouchable. As you mentioned, with the president, with Ashley Singh, with Washington, and others, where the DPP had recommended charges, the government changed, and the politically inclined DPP null plus those matters. And they're using Suku as an oppressive arm of the government to prosecute persons on the other side of the political divide and others. And I must mention that prosecutor Suku has never, ever go to trial with a case and won it. Never, ever. I see a couple days ago they charged someone with a multi-million-dollar Ponzi scheme. Let me see how they're going to prove it. And they are saying that the president is above the law. The president is not above the law. The president is a creature of the Constitution. President is a creature of the Constitution, and they're talking about the president has executive power. Article 99(1) said that yes, he has executive power subject to the provisions of the Constitution, that he has to bow down to the Constitution. He's a creature of the Constitution, and also Article 94 says that the president could be impeached if he commits any violation of the Constitution or any gross misconduct. But here we have it here, where the DPP will recommend charge, and then government will change, and the DPP will not prosper without having any fresh evidence or evidence to the contrary. So the rule of law really is for certain people in Guyana, whereas others it is not operating. And I'm saying that the president is a creature of the Constitution, and he or she has to bow down to the Constitution. And as I repeated my favorite commissioner, Lyle Lewis, will say, be a culprit, you obey just and take your blows. And the rule of law must prevail for everybody. And the thing is that there must be a barrier between political decisions and law enforcement. And that barrier must be sacrosanct, that there must be a barrier between political decisions and law enforcement. But we find things happening with the DPP, which is politically inclined, has been all pressing matters when it ought not to do so. And I think it's time that certain people started to challenge it whenever it happens. When the DPP not brought any matters due to a political decision, people should challenge it in court. Even they got to go till to the CCJ And they went to the CCJ already. I remember thought when a case where with that guy in Bobby's who they had the charge with murder and who the magistrate said, hey, there's not enough evidence here to commit the poison, and the DPP wrote the magistrate and said, hey, I'm directing you to commit that poison, and then the CCJ said that is wrong. That there are too many cases in Guyana that where forces are not challenging. It's just start challenge them and carry them straight to the CCJ so that we can have proper ruling. But the rule of law must prevail at all times.
Yeah, you referred a while ago to the Marcus Bistrom case, and what really happened there? The magistrate discharged the matter, and the DPP instructed the magistrate to open the matter and to, because she had that power under the I think it's the Criminal Procedure Act. She has that power.
Yeah.
But it's how the power is exercised, because in this case, according to what was argued, she did not even allow for the magistrate reasoning to Richard, and she just decided arbitrarily. And the court, the CCJ, said that no, that is unconstitutional. And I know since then the law. Imagine the DPP is was deemed to have acted so outside the law that the law now is ought to be amended. I think a few months ago that law was amended, and she no longer has, when it says she, the DPP no longer has such a power. My understanding is if at the conclusion of preliminary inquiry the magistrate finds that a prima facie case has not been made and discharges the defendant or the accused, if the DPP is dissatisfied, she must file an application to the High Court and let the High Court review and let the High Court make that determination as to whether the court must be open, the case must be reopened or not. The High Court must make that determination, not the DPP. That is what the ruling is. And I know there was a amendment there. The next thing they got a chance, as I said, is this discontinuing of cases. Again, she has that power. But the thing is being done in what appears such to be a partisan manner, that the thing should be challenged. And on the other hand, people are being charged with no evidence. You have cases where people are charged, there were never allegations, it was never put to them. I never know that in all my policing here, that a person can just go to a station, make an allegation, and without you even questioning the person against whom the allegation is made, they are charged and placed before the court. Outrageous. And you want to tell me about the rule of law? You want to tell me that the rule of law is practiced in Guyana? And I say again, if they want to use that phrase, rule of law, then they must make a definition that this is what the rule of law is in Guyana. And clearly, it is different from what is universally accepted. It is different. Can you have a case, we mentioned it last week, where people continue to be summarily and arbitrarily dismissed by the man who sits in the chair of the Commissioner of Police? Arbitrarily, when there are tons and tons of case laws which says that you cannot do that. There are case laws which says it cannot operate in that fashion. There's a right to be heard. There's something called natural justice. But who cares? Who cares? In this plantation, in this civilized plantation, you do whatever you want to do because, again, people are not held accountable. People are not held accountable. You spoke about the fire at the Madja Dam. There was another dam that destroyed by fire as well. People are not held accountable because if people were held accountable, if the man who sits in the chair was held accountable, he would not be going on. This is not one or not two. Repeatedly, you're dismissing people just like that. And the Attorney General knows, the people at the Attorney General Chamber know, because as I've said, I had discussion with them years ago. Might not be the same people, but the Chamber know that you cannot. The case laws are there. The case law, you cannot arbitrarily dismiss a man in public interest any longer. I told you long ago, Cyril Bollers, Cecil Glasgow, Hilton Cummins, Gravesand, not Gravesand, Zan Seeley, those things went to court and the courts have ruled how the thing should be done. But yet still you get people doing what they want to do. You have, a few months ago, the Attorney General spoke about the cybercrime bill. Now what he said? Either he said it got to be amended or repealed, something like that. But yes, still you got people being prosecuted. You got case right now going on in front of the court with the same cybercrime. If government feels and the DPP feels that this thing is so outrageous that it needs to be repealed or to be amended, why don't they then discontinue the matters that are currently before the court? Because by saying that, you're admitting that, look, this thing is wrong. But again, that is what is going on. That is what is going on. And CC, let me also close. We done two. Let me also close, man. I heard that the police launched some investigation in Barbados, New Amsterdam, to be specific. So that in the investigating what we used to call obtaining credit by fraud. I heard that some people take money. I know from who. They eat up food, barbecue, and other thing, and then they did not deliver. Now, you know that if you enter into a promise that if you give me money, you give me food, and you give me certain thing, I can do a particular act, and at the end of the day, you get the money, you take the food, and you do the act. That is obtaining, something like that, obtaining credit by fraud. That is fraud. So here this investigation can start with fraud. But I'm trying to get the details because the thing is sketchy. I ain't sure exactly what they're talking about. I know you're a man in the know. You get any information, my brother?
Well, I heard that they're starting with a place called Angai's Avenue. I'm supposed to get some information coming out of Angai's Avenue.
Okay. Let me keep here to the ground for whatever really going on with all of this investigation that we really got to do. Hope they have the capacity. Because again, I say that if you enter an agreement not got to be in writing. You enter an agreement. Look, if you give me this, I can do this. And then you give me this, or don't put it this way. If you give me this, I can do that. And if you give me this, and I did not do that, then it's a breach and perhaps can be criminal, civil or criminal. So let's see what will go on. My brother, we don't 2 hours. I don't want to keep you much longer. Any closing remarks?
Nothing. I think we have said enough for I need to close out here now.
All right, man. My brother, take care until we meet again. We talk on the phone and so on. And and things. So we meet again. Take care. Evelyn said verbal. But I know they got verbal, they got oral, because verbal is by words, either written or spoken. But when we talk about oral, we talk about mouth. And a lot of the people know about that. So, everybody, verbal might be correct, but my teaching that when I talk about something that is verbal, can be in writing or by word of mouth. But when you say oral, you're specific to by word of mouth. As I say, some people are very familiar with that with that word. Folks, I have had a good morning. 2 hours, times really fly when you're enjoying yourself. When you're having fun, time really fly. And we've done 2 hours already. And I want to thank you again for your attention, for your attendance in school. For those of you who slept in the schoolyard overnight, I hope that you had a comfortable sleep. I hope insects and mosquitoes and all of those things did not disturb you. And I hope, that is commitment, yeah? That is commitment that people were here the night before, and as early as 1 o'clock this morning, people sign in to see what is going on. So, folks, it has been my pleasure again to interact with you today. And I want to again say to you that you have to look out for you. Too many accidents, too many incidents to talk like the police, too many incidents. You have to take care of yourselves. On the roadways, in your homes, every place you go, you have to take care of yourself. So many accidents. I mean, when we left here last week, we had some other issues to discuss, like the spike bill. We said we can talk about the spike bill, we get something to talk about. But these things intervene, and we believe that they are more urgent to speak about. So that's why we end up talking about them. And 2 hours just move like that. Whoop, 2 hours finish. So until next week, Wednesday, which will be next week will be the 21st. Until we actually the 21st, God spare life. You got to always hope that the good Lord will allow us to be here again to share the good word, to share what's going on. So until next week, God spare life. We'll see you for another episode of Speaking Out, Exposing Corruption and Incompetence. In the meanwhile, stay safe, my brothers and sisters. Bye.